It's America at Night with Rich Valdez.
You remember that scene in the White House. President Trump is there, and he's hosting President Ramaphosa from South Africa, our arch nemesis, because they're involved in the BRICS consortium. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they get into this talk about kill the Boers, this chant about killing white farmers. President Ramaphosa seems like he doesn't know what's going on. Trump pulls out the video. You've seen it. And I recently had the good pleasure of speaking with somebody who's a resident of South Africa. And I said, what's going on with that? And he was explaining it to me. And I said, you know what? I want you to come in and explain this to me. Turns out this gentleman is the economic advisor to one of the kings of the kingdoms in South Africa. And he's with us now. Mpumi Melchizedek, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Richard, for having me.
My pleasure.
Right.
So I want to get into this because, we had a pretty interesting talk about it. And I said, this is something I think that our audience should really have the benefit of hearing. Let's talk a little bit about you, your background, where you're from, so that people know who you are. And then we can get into the politics of that particular situation and a couple of others.
Okay. All right. My name is Mpumi Ndebele. I'm the chief executive of the Coleman Group. We are an Africa-facing financial services company that raises capital globally and deploys it into Africa. I serve under His Royal Highness, King Bulelani Lobengula Khumalo, who is the king of the Matabele. The Matabele are found in Zimbabwe into South Africa. So we are the people that actually left KZN to establish kingdoms further from what is traditionally known as KwaZulu-Natal.
Now, Mpumi, tell us a little bit about the roots of that, because I think, you say that so eloquently, but we don't know what that is. Okay. But I think most people, you say Shaka Zulu, people know about Shaka Zulu. So tell us about how the Matabele came from Shaka Zulu. So
essentially what happened was we had King Mzilikazi. So Shaka Zulu was the king of the Zulu. So he had gathered all the tribes in the west of South Africa under KwaZulu-Natal. So he had his right-hand general, King Mzilikazi. Mzilikazi was used for some military escapades that Shaka would actually do. So Mzilikazi was the general who was sent to conquer, bring cattle. After a while, Mzilikazi thought, no, man, I can't continue to do this. I can't continue to go and conquer lands, bring back the spoils to the king. Why don't I set up my own kingdom? So this is how the Matabele are then established. When King Mzilikazi then leaves KwaZulu-Natal, it moves into the interior of South Africa. So he sets up in the Highveld in South Africa, and about 1826, the Boers then move inland from...
And those, of course, are the Dutch settlers.
The Dutch settlers.
Coming in.
They move inland towards where King Mzilikazi had established himself. So naturally, territorial battles come through until they finally push King Mzilikazi out of the Highveld, about 1836. King Mzilikazi moves further north into what is present-day Zimbabwe and establishes himself his Matabeleland kingdom. From 1838, he exists there until colonization by the British in 1893. When the British then colonize the Matabele, his kin is then exiled out of Zimbabwe, and they are taken back to South Africa, where they again grow up in the Cape until the present day, where the present king, who is the leader of the Matabele, was born in South Africa, while his people are in Zimbabwe and South Africa.
Okay. Yeah. So you know your history. Now we know it too. Yeah. I want to get into this, the Boers, right? Because, I think my first question to you was, what's the story with that?
Yeah.
And you gave me a really good answer. I think the answer, for the folks that are home, it was equal parts politics and strategy and some of the background. So help everybody understand how this whole thing came about.
Okay. So essentially, the kill the Boer issue as it rolled out, everyone was shocked. I would say the larger population in South Africa was shocked. When there was discussion of a white genocide, everyone was, we were all shocked to see. So everyone was keen to see what evidence was going to be presented, literally, to say there is a white genocide in South Africa. Acknowledged and there, crime exists in South Africa, largely due to the high unemployment that's currently obtaining in the economy. So it affects right across the board, both black and white. more so, or rather, unfortunately, most of the farmers are white. So because crime is obviously hitting those that
have means.
So naturally, within the farming districts, it becomes the white farmers that are attacked. So not specifically because it is targeted at white farmers.
They just happen to have the money.
They just happen to have the money, number one. They happen to also be the ones that are actually on the farms. But it is right across the board. Black, white, all colors actually being attacked. So it's not only just to say there's that section. So
the reason, and it's not to downplay it to say that that's not happening. My interest in it is because of the political motivation behind it.
Oh, yes.
And you explained that there are dueling factions here. You have the extreme left and the extreme right in your politics that were kind of at war with one another. Tell us more.
Okay, so essentially what's going on is obviously, as you're putting it, that there is the extreme left and the right that are actually currently battling over the South Africa political space. All right, so we've got what is called, obviously, the radical economic transformation that seeks to redress the economic imbalances that have actually obtained. And then you've also got the other angle that wants to maintain the status quo, where probably the majority of the economy is still within the elite and the few individuals. So these are the forces that are currently at play that actually have actuated this. That literally the grouping that actually is pushing for redress to say
pro-business and communist.
Pro-business, so that's the difference. So you've got one grouping that says let's address the issue of the economy. Let's share the pie. Let's spread it out wide.
Free market.
That's free market. And it exists both sides. The difference obviously is in this particular issue, you've had extremes of that. All right, you've got those that literally want to say no, we need to take it away from communists, those that have. And then on the other side, also there are those that are actually saying, no, we need to maintain the status quo. Actually, if it push comes to shove, we need our own colony, our own place that literally is going to be separated from South Africa. For
secessionists.
A secessionist. So there's a secessionist movement that's there. And then also there's a movement that obviously wants to nationalize and take over everything. So those are the two forces that are actually in play. So it depends now on whose ear,
right?
They actually get to first. So in this particular instance with the kill of Boer, this was actually being sung, obviously during the struggle days in South Africa. In independent South Africa, this is no longer applicable. Literally, because back in the day, if you look at the history of why that song was actually being sung, was because the farmers at the time were part of the apartheid system. So they were, commanders of the military as well during that period. So when that was being sung, it was actually a struggle song. So post-independence, in a democratic South Africa.
Now it's history.
It's history. That doesn't hold anymore. There's no need to sing it now.
Right.
Literally to say that. So which is why the extreme left is actually taking advantage of that to literally try and push its agenda using that, because that tends to obviously, drop up the emotions and so forth and so on. Now, that has played into the hands of the extreme right that wants to actually succeed out of South Africa and say, listen, we're in trouble here. Can you come and help us?
You see?
That's the thing, can you see?
Right.
So which is why Ramaphosa, who belongs in the ANC, brings an ANC delegation to the White House. Once he gets to the White House, he is actually shown a video of the EFF, an opposition political party, of not what they, as the ANC, the current government, is actually doing.
Right. And this would be the equivalent of bringing President Trump somewhere and showing a video of AOC.
That's the thing.
Saying, look at your people.
Oh, yes.
Right? Those aren't my people.
That's the thing. So which is why everyone was actually waiting to actually see you. What evidence is this?
Yeah.
Because when we speak of white genocide, where is it happening? We want to see that. The crime is happening everywhere. But this is just sheer opportunism from those that literally want to succeed out of South Africa, that want to set up their own within South Africa. Crime is across the board, and that's where we need help.
These kill the Boer extremists tend to be rather radical, very communistic in their approach.
Oh yes. No, definitely. Their approach is obviously communist. They also subscribe to Marxism as well. That is obviously where they come from, and it's really, in my view, it's really more just semantics than anything else. Because in lifestyle, they are capitalists as well.
Right.
So while
the
they
Chinese.
Speak, exactly. So while they speak, communism. But in lifestyle, it's capitalism, really. I mean, and you see it in their lifestyles. You see it also, I mean, in some of their policies. And which is why I've said literally, I mean, in my view, communism in Africa has not produced, has not lifted the majority of the people.
Let me ask you a question. Has it produced it anywhere else?
I don't know. I'm focused on Africa.
Right. Communism doesn't work.
So literally, I mean, I'm still to see a country where the masses have been lifted out of poverty.
Right.
Because poverty is the problem. And with poverty existing, this becomes weaponized by normally by dictators, by extremists, as what's happening now in Mozambique with ISIS. I mean, that's weaponization of poverty, and this becomes the playbook that
over and over.
Once the people are poor, they are easy to manipulate. And keeping them there then obviously makes those guys continue, I mean, in whatever it is that they're doing. So in my view, what Africa needs is obviously to lift the majority out of poverty. And how do you lift the majority out of poverty? Socially responsible capitalism. Let the best minds lead. Let the merit lead. And whoever is best then can pull up the people as they lead. Other than having to literally go on nationalization, I mean, it hasn't worked. It doesn't work.
I think you're onto something here, because this is the only thing that's ever worked of lifting people out of poverty is the free market. People being able to do what they do to earn money and lift others. Part of how we started this conversation, you and I, Mpumi, was with regard to your thoughts on how President Trump is handling the introduction of cryptocurrency in the United States. Your thoughts?
I think President Trump has been the most progressive president in the U.S. In the crypto space. Within a short period of time, you've had 3 acts that were actually passed. You had what was called the Crypto Week. Immediately after that, you had Project Crypto. I mean, he's actually made crypto center in the economy, and which is actually pretty critical at this time, because the global economy is changing from what it was. I mean, if you actually study, because I'm in the space, if you study the evolution of money, from the time we actually had gold coming to the fiat, so you'd find that every time the world goes through 2 major wars and some pandemics, there's a change of currency. I mean, from gold, I mean, right from the Spanish to the British to the US dollar, every time that happens. So we are actually at a period in history where this shift is happening. And it was actually very opportune for Trump to actually say the US is to play center in the space, because the transition is happening where literally the world is moving to digital assets, the world is moving to these crypto assets. So, and the ecosystem literally is literally bursting at its seams, waiting for clarity. I mean, the world over, we as you say, we are in the space. We've noted, obviously, Dubai has actually made some significant progress on that. We also have got Singapore, Luxembourg as well, but none of them have taken its center the way that Trump has done. Where literally we are now saying stable coins are now recognized as a currency that can be used. Clarity Act, the Genius Act, where literally we are now separating, is this a security? Is this just a token? What is this? So we and for the first time, he is the first in the whole world to release a project crypto report, which the entire world has not released. So I think in this space, this is actually going to put the US right at the front edge of this evolution that's going on in the currency space.
In my view, I think everything you said is true, and I would say I think the United States has planted the flag. Yeah. They have President Trump has made the United States the crypto capital of the world. It's now up to everybody else to try and take it, and we have the lead. And I think this is important for many reasons, political reasons, many optics, but also the financial aspect of it. You are able to bring in a lot more investment when you are the hub. New York City rent is what New York City rent is, because it's New York City and this is the financial capital. True. And once you lose that, and New York City does stand to lose it, a separate topic with a communist candidate named Mamdani, who hails from Uganda. He's running for mayor, and his policies will likely throw people out of here. Right? I think a lot of the financial companies here are going to take off. But outside of that, it's because people want to do business where the money's being made.
True.
And I think we've done that. So building on that, and you're in the building business with your infrastructure-backed token. Tell us about how that token works and your plans for its future.
Okay. So essentially, what you have is, I'll probably just separate the two. You've got crypto, which is speculative, which is Bitcoin, your Ethereums, and so forth and so on. That's really not backed by any fundamentals. I mean, that's literally more or less just an idea that exists there. And then you've got what is called real-world asset-backed tokens, RWAs, which is what our token is, the Coleman Group coin. So what RWAs are is it's a token that's backed by a real infrastructure asset. It could be gold, it could be real estate. In our case, we are backing our token using Africa infrastructure. So I'll give you a case in point. Let's say a port. So literally, if a port is worth $100 million, we are tokenizing that under the Coleman Group coin and then availing those coins to institutional investors. So what are we doing? We are reducing the friction in the market. There's a lot of friction presently. If you want to invest, let's say in Kenya from New York, you have to go through so many channels to actually get to the point where you can actually buy shares or whatever it is that you're investing in. But with this platform that we have created, the Coleman Group coin and other RWAs, it allows you, while seated in New York, to be able to access those assets real time at any moment without even having to go there. And if you want to exit any position, again, this is all digital. You can do it instantly away from that without actually having to have the 48-hour period of money transfers, etc., etc. So what crypto is doing, it's really, it's really taking out a lot of friction that's currently there in the financial system. It's also giving access to investors to a bigger pool of assets that they can actually invest in. Now, you speak about New York, why this will actually be very good for New York, because New York is the biggest financial center in the world, with its financial markets quite deep. Now, if you then avail these digital assets, where we can tokenize the funds that are currently there, we can tokenize the real estate, you literally are increasing the pool of investors that can participate globally in New York and also out of New York. So which is why it's important that for New York especially, that America pushes forward with the digital asset space, because if it doesn't, then all the other financial hubs shall gain traction in that. And by the time they want to actually catch on, as you know, the first out of the docks is always the one. So, but the beauty is, now that Trump has done this, I've seen a lot of movements in BlackRock, Circle, Ripple. There's quite a number of players now, JP Morgan, who are actually moving into the space also aggressively to take advantage.
And they once opposed this space.
Oh yes,
vehemently.
Oh, yes. Previously, obviously they were. Everything new. When something is new, people first of all want to.
Well, I think it was new and it was a threat.
It was,
because if you have deregulated finance, and I can lend my own crypto out and take a loan against my own crypto and make my own interest, why do I need JP Morgan?
That's the thing. But also you must also understand also from their perspective as well. Remember, they have got the number one responsibility to safeguard shareholder investments. When crypto came through, it was highly speculative.
And volatile. Very
volatile. So how do you write an investment report to justify why you're putting money in something that today is $100, tomorrow is 10 cents?
Yeah.
How do you justify that? So they were correct, obviously, to play safe. But now that we've got these other asset classes that are coming through, which literally are backed,
and it's a different time. Bitcoin has a track record now that it didn't have before.
And literally everyone can see literally where everything is going. We were speaking about this, you, to say back in the day, the US dollar was pegged against gold. Then that was unpegged off gold. So obviously the world has been searching for something to base any currency, and this is the time and this is the space where something within the space literally is going to then be put in place to say this is what these currencies are based on. And it's good literally for you to be the first to have regulation.
Whether it's real gold or digital gold.
That's it. and it's actually digital gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Mpumi,
I want you to let everybody know how they can learn more about your group and more about everything you're doing. How do they follow you? What's the website?
Okay. So our website is www.colmingroup.com. All right. And on the 22nd to the 23rd of October, we are hosting a summit here in Wall Street where we are bringing Africa infrastructure developers under the same roof with global investors to have a view over the Africa infrastructure. And the summit is called tokenizeafrica.org. So you can also log on to that. You can also find us on all social media pages, LinkedIn and Twitter. And my handle on Twitter is Mpumi Global. So you can also look that up. I actually post quite a lot of it. So that's how they can actually reach out. And we look forward to actually seeing them at the summit. Because just to give you what literally is happening, Africa has got a 170 billion infrastructure deficit annually in terms of developing its infrastructure. So compounded over that, we've called this the $2 trillion Africa infrastructure opportunity. Why? Because investors outside of Africa don't know where to start. Don't know where to start in the south, east, west. Where are the projects? So what we have done is we vet these projects, we audit them, then we onboard them onto the platform. Then we give them out to global investors to then participate in them, knowing very well that at least they've got people who are on the ground in Africa who have vetted the project, who have audited the project, and they're able also to exit easily out of the investment, because this is in a real world asset token, so it's fungible. You can trade it with other, and be able to buy other currencies as well.
Outstanding. Yeah. Amigos, Mpumi Melchizedek. Check him out at Mpumi Global on Twitter.